Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jay LaValle, Joe Wrestling, back with Wednesday Wisdom. And I have a special guest today. His name is Ethan Ramos. Ethan is a New Jersey high school state champion, Hawthorne High School, I believe. Is that correct, Ethan?
Yeah.
Ethan also went to the University of North Carolina, was an NCAA All American, and most recently he was on a world team for Puerto Rico national team at 86 kilograms. Had some awesome wins there that we'll get into a little bit on. And I want to introduce Ethan to everybody. How you doing?
Cool. Good. Thanks. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate it. It's been a while. I haven't seen you, man. Well, I've seen you. I've seen you wrestle on at a couple of events, but I haven't seen you since you left Northern Virginia. How's things been? I know then that was like pre-COVID. So
Yeah.
how's things been since then?
Yeah, it's things have been pretty good. It's been a really weird time since COVID. Just because I didn't really realize like all the effects that people had gone through, like with displacement or like losing jobs or whatever. And then when people brought that up, like I realized like all that stuff did actually happen to us. But it's been like it's just stuff like we didn't really think about like in that way. It was like a lot of blessings in disguise kind of. Because we ended up getting like good other job opportunities, and it was like a fresh new start kind of thing. And I think it just didn't affect us like in a negative way. It was just like negative things turning out for good, you know. But it's been interesting.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think a lot of people viewed it the same exact way you just said. They took a sort of negative type of thing or something that's pushing you back and turn it into something positive and fresh start for a lot of people. And you yourself, well, you were down here for a little bit, and then went up to New Jersey, right?
Yeah. Now I've been wrestling with the Scarlet Knight Wrestling Club for a year now in July.
Nice.
But
You enjoying that?
Yeah, no, it's been good. It was a tough move because I think I was in Virginia for like 2 months, training with you guys and also George Mason, and then I went to my mom. Well, I went to my friends in North Carolina for like a month, and then my mom was like 7 months. So it was like, it was a lot of moving around, a lot of like instability, and then like we finally got a house, but it was a fixer upper, so it's been just like a ton of work since December.
Nice.
And like today, I got a lot of finishing touches done, like with caulking the windows and stuff like that. Doing another wall, but it's been cool to have my own space. And then like the wrestling part has been really nice because like while I was in Mongolia, I was like trying to coach myself more and figure things out and just do things differently. Now it's been more structured. So I've been enjoying that, but also like being around like guys that I can invest in on a spiritual level and on a physical level, like just has been cool because it's the language barrier is not there, you know.
Sure.
So like being in Mongolia has helped me to kind of use that like ability more, or develop it more.
Sure. Yeah, that's something I want to get into, and be well, right after you were in Mongolia, you came to Northern Virginia. Your in-laws live right down the street from me, which is crazy. And then we connected, which was awesome. Got to work with you for a couple months leading up to the Puerto Rican Olympic trials. But you were in Mongolia, which is a crazy, I guess, for somebody like me. I want to go to Mongolia. I want to see it. I want to train there, learn from the people there, not just in wrestling, but the culture. I find the culture is absolutely fascinating. And you and I, even before we met, we already had some like mutual friends because I met a Mongolian wrestler in 2015, and I got to train with him and help him. Basically, he came from Mongolia, had zero ability to speak English, didn't know any folk style. He only knew freestyle. So I'm teaching him wrestling, helping him with his English. And now this kid is just became a two-time national champion, JICO national champion, speaks fluid English, which is unbelievable. And yeah, and so through him, I have a lot of mutual friends with that you have as well. But I wanna actually hear more about your experience in Mongolia, because I think it's just a fascinating place.
Yeah, it is super fascinating. It was that was one of the things that was hard with COVID is like when we were going over there, my mindset was to like this is gonna be our next home, like so I was really trying to make it like a home, and it like over time became like home for me. So when I came back to America, it was kind of like homesick.
Mm.
But it's like the culture is so like awesome with hospitality and like the wrestling culture. Like everyone loves it, and one of the cool parts is like everyone like will just challenge you in a room. Like sometimes it's frustrating because I'm trying to work on technique, and like all of a sudden you'll get like six guys challenge you in a row,
Yeah.
and they'll do like a whole spar with you. So it's like it's good in one sense because you're like really working on competitiveness and like trying all these different styles out. Um, but also like if I tell them like, nah, I need to focus here, like they'll understand it too. So it's kind of just gotta speak up for yourself. Um, but it was like a really cool experience. We moved over there because we were trying to be missionaries. So like we're Christians, and we believe that we should share the gospel with people from all nations, because Jesus commanded that as he ascended into heaven. So we believed that, and we took that seriously and wanted to go somewhere. So when I finished college, yeah, I think it was right after college. Right? Yeah, when I finished college, we were trying to figure out like if we should stay in the States and do like a different, like a coaching opportunity or RTC somewhere or whatever, or if we should go overseas. So through a lot of circumstances, we decided on going overseas to Mongolia, where I had went actually with Athletes in Action like my freshman year in college,
Oh, nice.
for 18 days. So an interesting part of that actually was like one guy I met there actually wrestled for Campbell. And when I was at Campbell, I was like wrestling with him. You remember, Adgi, the
Yeah.
heavyweight that was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
we
that's
had a
cool.
picture together actually from the Athletes in Action camp. And
That's
then like
crazy.
years later, I'm there wrestling at Campbell with him. So yeah, it
Wow.
was pretty crazy. And I met his family while I was over there too. They had us over for one of the holidays. But it was like, so we decided to go there to evangelize, and so like basically what I was doing was doing it through wrestling, just trying to build relationships, so that like I'm not just going out and just sharing with people, but like kind of earning the right to.
Sure.
Um, and then my wife was doing it through a coffee shop, so like we bought a coffee shop called Ubean. Like UB is like for Ulaanbaatar, so like it's kind of a play on words there. But we bought that and we started like working on the coffee shop, and everything was like going all right. We were losing money every month, but it was like going in a positive direction until COVID hit. Um, and it was just a cool overall experience because we got to learn how to be business people in the coffee sense. We like grew in passion for coffee, and then like I grew in a lot of stuff with that I didn't realize. So now I feel like if we wanted to do a business in some other capacity, we could. But then also my wrestling kind of evolved into like being more relaxed, having that kind of like, foreigner feel where you're relaxed and explosive, and just feeling comfortable and overhooks, different things like that. So it was like really cool in all that sense. But it taught a lot of life lessons with like just like the hospitality and how they care for people. Like when you're with people, you know, you like accept what they give you, or like you be hospitable and give stuff to your guests, you know, things like that. And it's a lot of like life things that I find very valuable, you know.
That's amazing. Now, did you go into this mission with the idea of having the coffee shop beforehand, or was that something you figured out to do when you after you got there?
Yeah, so we decided to go first, and the problem was like it was hard to figure out like how to go, because with certain missionary organizations, they want you to be like with them for like a year beforehand for
Mm,
fundraising, or like to learn the language, or you have a deadline to sign up or whatever. And like we were ready to go, so we had to find us like an agency that would take us. And then with that, we had to decide, all right, like what were we gonna do as an occupation? Because like with visas and everything.
right.
So for me, I could do like a wrestling visa, but what would work better is if we had a business one, which like Katie wanted to be like in business. That was like something she was passionate about. So like when we were looking through all those options, like all of a sudden you being became like an option, because there was a couple that was trying to sell their coffee shop. So so we ended up thinking about that a lot, and like with two other partners we ended up buying it, and she was the face of it. So she was like the main owner, and the other ones were just like silent partners. And then I was like helping out with most of the stuff, you know.
That's awesome. Being a small bit, there's nothing else like being a small business owner and learning from the whole experience. And I know it sounds like you probably lost your head on it, but the experience that you take away from it is so rewarding. I feel like even if you're small, I've had a couple small businesses and they failed, but it's taught me so many other things to keep pressing forward, have another small business, and and try and make it successful.
Yeah, it's a very humbling experience, because and it's weird because you don't like you don't ever think about all these different things that go into like making a business when
Right.
you're like a consumer. But then when you're in it, you're like, how do people even make money? Like, you know, being like a convenience store, being like a coffee shop in general, like how do you make money if you're just selling coffee?
Right.
Because like you have to pay for lights, you have to pay for like gas and water and all these things that like coffee really just doesn't pay for.
Right.
So it's like it's a
Salary.
confusing thing, but it's like I don't know. It was a cool experience. It was just like hard. Like we just finished selling the business and like dealing with all that stuff, and it's been like a whole year and a half, I think.
Wow.
So it took a long process, but it was, like I said, it was worth it.
That's good. That's good. And so you came out of there with a lot of positive experiences and failures and successes, and then you came back to Northern Virginia because
Because my son was about to be born.
yes, your
Yeah,
son, and that's when I met Katie. That's when I met both of you guys. Um,
yeah.
and and now how old is he?
He's a year and a half. What day is it today, actually?
Wow, today is the ninth.
The ninth.
June
Okay, so
9th.
on the 19th, it should be like a year and 7 months, I think,
Wow, it's amazing.
and maybe 8 months.
Time
Yeah,
flies.
yeah, it's crazy. And now
Time.
she's pregnant with another one. She's like 28 weeks.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's exciting. That's super
Yeah,
exciting. And now
yeah, I'm excited.
you have more stability. You're up in Jersey. Um, you have your home. You're a homemaker, and you're making your home. Your DIYs, and there's nothing else like that. There's nothing else like it. It's such. I think that's like the most exciting part of like being a family person and a dad and a husband is like protecting the family, creating a nice, comfortable environment. There's nothing else like that. You feel
Yeah,
the same way.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm really like I'm learning a lot about homesteading, and I'm like really passionate about that. So I'm like really trying to learn a lot about like growing vegetables and how to preserve them and all this stuff. So like
Oh, no.
right now, like if you go to my backyard, it looks like almost like a farmer's market because there's like a ton of plants that I've been working on, and I'm starting a food forest all the way in the back. So like I got like 7 different trees and like I think like 10 bushes or something like that, like of different
Wow.
fruit stuff. So I'm like trying to make it so that it's kind of like we could survive off of our property more so. But it's gonna take some time. But I think that's gonna be great for the kids, you know.
100%. They learn about conservation and self-sustainability. I mean, that seems like to be everybody's dream, but it seems like it's hard to achieve. You got to have a lot of patience, and I guess you got to have the space, having the space. But I'd say the biggest challenge, even for myself, I try and me and my wife, I think we try and strive for that self-sustainability portion of our lives. But I think it's the challenging part is the patience, having the patience to actually do it. And
Yeah.
for at least for us, but that does seem like the most challenging part to actually get it going and sustaining it.
Yeah, I find like for myself the hardest part is really like gathering all my thoughts and like trusting that I know what I'm doing or that I know enough of what I'm doing. Like because there's just I'm thinking of so many different ideas and like of like just homesteading, right? But then there's like a lot to think about with wrestling, a lot to think about with life in general, and like future moves and all this. And so it's like it gets really hard to just balance everything and
Yeah.
figure out like, all right, what's the next step? Like I got this, but then Adriel's awake and he's like needing my attention. So now I gotta wait till he naps. And then when he naps, my mind's not like in the right place. So it's like I'm trying to balance it all, but it's like if I could just take that one step each day, like get a tree and plant it, or make the plan on paper one day, and then like actually put into action, or just be willing to go get some free wood chips, and I could put it down and make everything easier, so I don't have to water as much. So it's like if I'm doing the research, I should know enough. It's just like the like putting into action is hard,
Right. The implementation is,
Yeah.
especially when you can't sometimes consistently have a schedule every day, when you have a little one running around. So that's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's really awesome about that. Was anything from Mongolia give you that idea? Because they're living off the land. I mean, it's such a vast country. That's the one thing that amazes me. It's such a vast and gorgeous country there. Did that give you ideas to do that here?
Yeah, well actually like it did, but in a more interesting way, because like when we got there, right, like I was thinking like when I was doing some training with the missionary agency, they had um they had a couple of different like ways they do it, right? Like sometimes they'll dig a well for someone and they'll teach the missionaries how to do that, so like they can be like, it's so that they're not just going in and sharing and leaving or whatever, like, but they're trying to do like life on life, like,
Sure.
not just to share, right? So like one of their ideas was also making a dome, like I think like a cement dome for like some purpose, right? So Mongolia gets down to -40 in the winter, right? And it stays cold like all the way until like May or June. Like they just had snow like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Amazing. I saw that.
Yeah, it was crazy. So
Great.
like, so when I got there, I was thinking like, what would be really cool is if I can learn how to make a dome and like figure out a way to grow vegetables there. And like, I never grew plants in my house because like my mom would always get plants that were like the kind that you don't need to take care of that much, and they would just die somehow. Like, So like so I didn't trust myself that I could deal with it. But then like in Mongolia, my wife had asked me, like, what's one way that I feel close to God? So like I told her like being in nature. So she was saying that, well, then we should get some plants. So then I was just like, oh, that's a good idea. So we went, we got a bunch of plants, and I just like, I got really addicted to it. Like all of a sudden, like I started just planting seeds. Like anytime I got a fruit, I would propagate it or I would germinate it. And then I would like have a fruit plant. So like I grew mangoes there. I grew like apple seeds or orange seeds or stuff like that.
Wow.
And I just started like my window shelves filled with plants. And then I was like, man, I really like love this. So then when I got to Virginia, I couldn't stop. So I like, even when I was just there, like for the Berth, like I was still trying to find like ways to like grow plants and leave it there for them. And then like when I got stuck in the States, I made their garden over in Virginia, and then I helped my friends with their garden, and then like my mom's house. And then so when I got here, I was just like, I was learning so much about like permaculture and different gardening ideas that it evolved into like, oh, like I can make this like a real like homesteading thing where like if I can grow like a tropical fruit and just keep it small and like bring it indoors in the winter, then I can like in New Jersey still have like tropical fruit and have like all this other stuff from New Jersey. So it kind of evolved like that, like kind of slowly.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. I feel like wrestling is it has a lot of parallels with wrestling because we're self-sustaining ourselves. We're very independent, and what we put into it is what we're going to get out of it. It's the same thing with, sounds like this, I'm not into that stuff, but it sounds like the same type of thing. The more you put into it, the more you cultivate and care for what you're doing, you're going to get, well, you're going to grow. You're going to grow, you're going to evolve. And then you yourself, you're growing and evolving as well, which is cool.
Yeah, it's true. And it's, I feel like it also helps with mental health just because you're getting outside every day. You have to take care of something like
100%.
It's a fun pastime,
Yeah.
And it provides you with something good. Like I'm like very, like me and my wife try to be very like health conscious. So like for the most part, we eat really healthy. Like we still eat like cookies and stuff every now and then, but that's like part of it also is we want to have like a really healthy diet. And Mongolia actually kind of helped us to become more like vegetarian, despite like what their like diet is,
Right.
But you know what it is, right?
What's that?
Do you know what it is?
Some of it. I've had more of their meat stuff, the meat dishes though.
Oh yeah. Have you ever had soybean?
Possibly. What
That was my favorite.
What is in that one?
That was like a pasta dish with like carrots and a little bit of onion and some meat in it. But the way they made their pasta was like so good. It was one of the best dishes, I thought.
Yes, the pasta dish. Exactly. Yeah. I love that's the thing. Why one of the main reasons I love food. Food is probably the one thing that why I want to visit every country and try their food. And I mean that's amazing that you got to be there.
Yeah.
What about wrestling though? What was one of the things that you took away, positive things that you took away from the wrestling aspect? Because Mongolia is, historically Mongolia is absolutely amazing at wrestling. They have their traditional form of wrestling, bulk. I don't know if you got a chance to try that, but I got invited to do it this year. Well, I got invited to do it last year, and then obviously COVID happened. So I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the vest. I'm going to get the boots. I'm going to get the hat. And I'm going to go compete. Although it's like unlimited weight class, there's like no weight classes. So I don't know how I feel about that, but
you'll wrestle guys that are like close to 400 pounds. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's that one's a cool style. It's like it could be kind of boring to watch at times, but like it's weird because like there was one time where I was wrestling this guy in the room, right? Like he was just like I think in high school at the time, but like I was dominating him in freestyle. And but then like they wanted to put on the traditional stuff, and he was like an up and comer for that. Like he was training to do well at Nottingham, and we went together, and it was like so hard to wrestle with him all of a sudden, because like he had the leverage. He was tall and like he knew what he was doing. So like every time he put me in a bad position, and so I would try to just throw him like in Greco, but like I would always, I'm sorry. But I was always touching my head first, so then I would lose the match because of it.
Uh,
Yeah, but it's fun. It's definitely you'll like it, you know.
yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. Well, very good. Let's shift some gears. You know, you came back to Northern Virginia, and then well, you were on a world team. Well, first of all, you were on a world team, 2018, was it? 2000 or
Yeah,
19?
2008 or 18, 19. What are we? It's 2021, right? Yeah, so this year for the past 3 years. So yeah, I think 18 was the first time.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll talk a little bit about your experience, maybe how you thought, maybe because the transition from college to like senior level, sometimes it seems I guess especially if you don't have the infrastructure there. Tell us a little bit about how you got into that, how you envision yourself. Did you see yourself going senior level United States or Puerto Rico? Actually, the last two podcasts I've done, actually, it might be three now. I've actually talked a lot about athletes transitioning to, you know, a country that they have family roots in and represented that country instead of the United States. And there's like 20, I think it was 22 athletes in the United States who have represented other countries just this
Oh,
past
really?
just this past year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so curious to learn more about, you know, how that happened, how you got into it, and your experience.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, for me, the way I got into it was like I so I grew up like more of a Puerto Rican culture than American. Like it was half and half, but like my family is like full Puerto Rican, and for me it was like I grew up feeling more of a Puerto Rican than I did American. So like when I was going into college, you know, I was there with Cola, and he brought up that I could possibly be with the Puerto Rican team. And I think he had mentioned how like Franklin Gomez had done it.
Mm,
So I was like, oh yeah, well if I could do that, I would love to. And at the time, like I hadn't heard about anyone actually like doing that, like being in the US going to Puerto Rico. So for me, I had to figure everything out on my own, and now I've been kind of like in a liaison for people like to do that. Like people have contacted me and asked like how that works. But for me, I had to go. I went to Puerto Rico to visit, and I found one of my cousins was like a baseball star over there. So like he got me in contact with the president, I think at the time, and they told me basically like how it works. So from there, I like talked with Gomez on the phone and got more confirmation on it, and then I went to the tournament, where I was gonna go to the tournament, and that year I ended up dislocating my elbow.
mm,
Um, and then I was supposed to have the wrestle off, and it wasn't like it didn't happen. Um, but then the next year, I ended up going, and it worked out for me. So that's kind of like how that started. The way I got in the freestyle was more so like um, in college when we were doing like the summers, Cola had switched us over to freestyle to get us ready for the university nationals. And for me, it just like was an easy transition because like when I watched his videos on like leg laces or techniques from top, like everything for some reason just clicked. Um, like I could watch his stuff and I could just implement it like the next day. So then like top wasn't like much of an issue, but it was just more like the being pushed out part was like difficult for me because I played the edge a lot in high school.
Sure.
But like because I was like a takedown guy, it worked for me where I could get texts and like and just I don't have to be on the bottom anyway. So once I learned how to like be tough on bottom, which was like also not a hard transition, it just was like now I just got to get like more savvy with like the point systems and everything. And then what was your other question about Puerto Rico?
Oh, your experiences once you were competing at that level. What was that like? Because it's a little different, you know. I didn't have the chance to compete in college. I trained a year in college with the team, and I ran track. But you know, I shifted to senior level, so it was a big jump for me to go from basically high school, no college competitions, and then senior level. You know, after a 10-year layoff, and for me, it was like I don't know. I just felt really grateful to be able to go compete, even just compete at that level. So I'm curious for you, you know, your first time, and you know, maybe other people want to know too, because I think that transition sometimes is like the expectation maybe. Well, now it seems like it's more there's more opportunities, but you know, a few years ago it just didn't seem like the opportunities were there and people didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's yeah, it was a lot more confusing back then. But now I think people get it. But yeah, it's been really cool being with them because like you know being on the team and then going to the world championship that one year was like a really cool opportunity because it was like it was just something like I never seen before. Like the ability to be around so many different countries that are somehow still like communicating, you know, through wrestling, but like also like it's amazing like, how many people like pick up English in different countries. But but seeing like some people that like they knew they didn't have a chance. You know, they were like new to wrestling, but they just like would figure out a way to fund themselves to go to the world championships so that like they could represent their country or so that they can like get contacts so that they could get better at training by like having training partners.
Wow.
To me that was just like insane. Like why would you pay money to go somewhere you're gonna lose? Or you like don't believe you have a chance, you know? But like for them it was like this is how I can get better. Um so I found that was like really amazing, pretty humbling as well. And then like it was just like for me it was like I felt grateful, but I also felt like expectant. Like this is something like I've always been like working towards. And I didn't go to Puerto Rico because like I didn't expect like I could do that with the US. Like I think like it probably would have taken a little bit longer based on like my results so far. But like I still believe that I could have done it through the US. I just felt like, you know, Puerto Rico was my country that I wanted to represent. So like when I got to the world championship, I was feeling like, you know, I'm ready to go. Like I want to win this. I think I can win it. And I think like I had like pretty good matches. Like there was some stuff with like I think I had some bad calls against me, but also just like some things were just freestyle stuff that I wasn't like exposed to enough, like bottom work. You know, I
Sure.
wrestled Belarus and that guy every time I got back in the match, he turned me again on top.
Oof.
You know, and it was like a couple of times. So it was like then I'd be coming back and it's like another time, you know. So it was like little stuff that I figured like, all right, like I can still be in it next time. And then I've had a couple more injuries since then. So it's like, things have been really difficult throughout the past years with figuring things out with wrestling, just because of results and injuries and everything. But it's been like a good opportunity to wrestle with Puerto Rico, and I've loved being around the team. Like being there with my brother now too is like
Right.
really cool because we get to spend time. He's trying to learn Spanish. I get to invest in him with his faith too, and we're getting to grow again together. And then like me and Franklin Gomez will just be talking like for like hours, like the whole time, like, and just being and talking with other people like from different countries. It's like just a really good time when we can be together.
Yeah, that's amazing. And experiences that, I guess you might not necessarily get to have if you were, representing the United States. Because now you're around, I guess, people in the United States, our culture is different, Um, and so you're connecting, well, number one, you're connecting with your brother. You have a twin brother.
Yeah.
And you're connecting with your fellow teammates from Puerto Rico, and that's amazing. So you're getting to connect to your home country. It's that's something that I always thought about doing that for Korea back when I was competing, but I just never. It wasn't as prominent back then, and this was only what 10 years ago, 15, 10 or 12 years ago,
Yeah.
and it seems like it's more prominent now, where athletes are able to represent another country because they have some lineage there, and I think it's amazing opportunity for people.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's well, another really cool thing about it too is like with the Puerto Rican team. Like I just was talking to a Cuban in Rome, right? Like the Cuban coach there.
Yeah.
He was saying how like there's a saying that like in English means like basically like we're like it's like we're a parrot with like two like what was it? Like the wings are like Puerto Rico and Cuba, but it's like the same parrot. In Spanish it made more sense, but it's like the idea was like we're like brothers, right? So like every time we go somewhere, um, like we'll all say like hello to Cuba, and it's kind of like just like family.
Yeah.
Like with these different like Latin American countries, like Dominican Republic is similar too. Like they all just have like this like innate respect for each other that like I never see with like some other countries, but like not to talk trash on like the US, but it's like that like sometimes just kind of like a cold vibe, or just not cold, but just like it's just business, like
Right.
we're going here to like win and that's it. But
Right.
like with like Puerto Rico and like a lot of the other Latin American countries, it's like we're here to like win and have like a good time and like say hello to family, you know what I mean?
Right. That's
So that's
amazing.
something like
And I mean, that's sort of like the Olympic spirit, bringing countries together, bringing people together, despite the conquest of competing and winning is, what ultimately brings us together. But, that the other part of it, when you're not together, when you're not competing, is, we're together as family, and we're all human beings, and we're, sharing something that we all love. That's the one thing that I take away from like wrestling. Like you said earlier, you know, somehow we're communicating through wrestling. You know, over COVID, I developed like this huge fan base from around the world because of my virtual videos I was doing.
yeah,
And it's amazing because these people, I barely can understand their English, and some of them would send me messages in their language. I'd have to translate it, and
uh,
but they're speaking through wrestling. So it does truly bring people together. I think that's the one thing that's really cool about wrestling that
yeah,
might not get through other type of professional sports. You know.
yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's pretty amazing like what you're doing with the online training. Like that's pretty cool. Is that like kind of like one of your like small businesses now that you're doing? Is
Yeah,
that how
I
you're looking
mean
at it?
it somehow took off. I don't, you know, I started it just with the kids at the Nova Wrestling Club, and then it expanded beyond there. More people did. I think more coaches. I think it was more coaches that were interested. I have athletes, but I have more coaches that are interested because I think we, through wrestling, sometimes we box ourselves in, and I found myself guilty of this, boxing myself in and teaching only certain skill set or certain set of techniques. And through the virtual stuff, it's forced me to sort of get out of my comfort zone and grow as a coach. I'd try and learn other techniques so I can sort of convert them into virtual type techniques, and that wasn't easy. I mean, it had to get creative, and then I really, I think I started viewing wrestling very different. I always felt like I was fairly knowledgeable in wrestling, but then I started studying like way more over the quarantine period, the last 15 months basically.
Yeah.
And man, there's so much that I didn't know, and there's so much that I still don't know, and there's so much that like forced me to get out of my comfort zone and teach a little different and with people all around the world. So it's been crazy. Got to have the opportunity to do it, and feel like I don't know, not an obligation, but I somehow feel like I do have an obligation to like give back to the wrestling community and people that are reaching out to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. Like everybody, yourself, I got to work with you in Northern Virginia, and the Mongolian group over there as well. So in the Korean group that came over, and I got to train in Korea. So that was sort of like the groundwork. I already had like this idea that I would like to train athletes from other countries, but then it just, I don't know, it just started snowballing. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
Yeah. No, it's been cool to see like how you go about this. I mean, I feel like you're like you've inspired me a lot with just like thinking outside the box in terms of like training and figuring different things out and just being like I guess trying to be a student of the sport more, because like just when I like just spending time with you, and like being able to be trained by you for a little while was like, like you would listen first off, like not just like gear everything towards like just the way that you felt like needed to be, but you kind of like listen and help me like get my technique better. And then like you would add like different elements that like a lot of people were missing, like the footwork was like a big thing, and the cardio aspects and stuff like that. But just like, but then like also being able to make this like this transition of doing online is like kind of crazy, because I was trying to do something like that a little bit with like making videos with dummies, and it's just like it's a hard thing to do because like with a dummy you got to be really creative, like because if you're trying to do an ankle pick, the dummy's not bending like that, so you got to figure out like a cool way to make like a good way to make like a dummy routine like kind of fun, but also like work a lot of like practical stuff like an actual match. So it's like hard, but somehow you've been able to do like, I forgot how many videos you said, but a crazy amount.
Yeah, it's been and that's the thing. Man, I think it's close to 200 at this point.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Basically teaching a class and then recording it, and so either that the students can watch it online live, or they can view it later in this library, and they can go in order as if, and I feel like I started building it like I felt like if somebody has never wrestled in their life, they can go through this and understand it, and somebody who has a lot of experience could still go through it because I put in actual workouts with the dummy, or with stance, and it was amazing stuff to be able to be creative in that regard. And having the supple, and then having supplays has been amazing. They partnered up with me as well, because
Oh, really?
so many people kept asking me, hey, where do you get that dummy? I mean, especially during COVID, it was like everybody was asking me, where do you get that dummy? Where can I get it?
Oh, yeah.
It made sense. It was like, it made sense to partner up with those guys. And so that was a cool thing that came out of it. But
That is cool. Yeah.
it's sort of winding down, unfortunately, because I'm back live. I got my vaccines. I'm back live with people now. I had people down here last weekend, and it's been it's been like a 6 month, it's been almost like a 6 full month training cycle, which is crazy, all online, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I've periodized it, so it was like 8 weeks of like good general preparation, transitioning to some strength stuff, and then transition. Now we're in like that final phase of as if we were competing in July, transitioning to convert our strength to power and speed. And I've been training, so it's like my methods, like I'm like the guinea pig too. Like I'm putting my training methods to the test, and it's been fun. Like I haven't like trained like this for probably 15 years. So it's been fun. It's been fun.
I see you've gotten some like really good half-mile runs, right?
Oh man, I'm so slow these days. It makes me want to run again. You were a runner, weren't you?
Yeah, but I hated it. I mean, I did track, but I was a 400 runner, and like I wanted to do the mile, but they didn't let me. And then I was like a jumper also,
Nice.
but I just never liked the 400s because the practices were like too much. Like, so once I got done with college, I stopped running.
Yeah, running. I competed in it, and I hated it once I stopped running competitively. I didn't like running anymore. I just love wrestling. I like completely shut off that part of my brain where I used to get those endorphin highs from running, and like I'm like I don't want to run anymore. But now I'm like I want to run again. Like I feel like I'm doing all this training. I don't want to get like too serious, but I want to use running as like my recovery tool, and somewhat get fit and see how fast I can run. But it's been fun. I mean, but now we're going back live, and maybe if you're down here, you can get down here. We can get on my mat over there. And
This your basement?
yeah, that's my basement. I got a wrestling mat over here. It's about 13 by, well, all the videos you see, they're on that mat. It's like 13 feet by 12 feet, 13 and a half by 12 and a half feet. And it's like perfect for, well, it's perfect for me. And then two people, it's probably perfect for like two people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a mat too for my basement, but my basement's a little like crammed, but I brought it out to the blacktop in my backyard so I could do some dummy work, but my water heater broke, so I had to put it away for a little bit.
Oh man, that's brutal.
It was a quick fix though.
Quick fix?
Yeah, my cousin he works with water heaters, so he came and helped me out.
Nice. Very nice. Well, I want to ask you, shift gears a little bit. You have, and I think these are like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are probably some of your like big highlights in your senior level career. Obviously in college, you're an NCAA All American. Colette was your coach, which is crazy because before he went to North Carolina, he was my coach, and I got to learn from Carrie. So we have that in common. And Carrie's amazing. He's at Navy, as you know now. But NCAA All American, and then you defeated Espinal twice, Olympic silver medalist. You beat him twice, and then you beat I think you beat Punia after that, right?
Yeah.
So you had like this good string of I feel like those victories right there, they must have been huge confidence builders in your ability. And I know every wrestler already knows that they're gonna win, but beating Olympic silver medals twice, basically within an hour, and then Punia world silver medals as well. What were your thoughts? What were your reactions to that, to those experiences?
Um, I don't know, like to me it just it didn't feel like that, you know, like with Jaime it was like you know, it felt good because I knew like I knew for sure I could beat him, right? Like, and no disrespect to him, like I like him a lot, but I just like knew I could beat him if I wrestled like the way that I wrestle, just because of like my cardio and like how much I'm gonna come at him, you know. But I knew that he was like super dangerous too, so like I needed to be careful of that stuff. And like that second match, it showed more because he had done some crazy stuff, and then like, but you know, I like ended up finishing like a good shot to get the pin, but it was like it felt really good because at the time I was like transitioning to be a vegetarian and see how it worked out. So I was like at that point like really just like on that, and I felt like very good. So it felt like I was making the right decisions in that.
Mm,
Um, and then like it felt like all right, I'm doing well. But it wasn't like this huge confidence builder. It was just kind of like, all right, nice. This is like what I expected of myself. Like,
right.
but it's good. So then like with Punia, it was kind of like, all right, cool. I got the best guy in the world or second best in the world right now, first round. Like, that's good. Like, I want that because I want to be I want to beat the best guys anyway, right?
Yeah.
And like, and so I'm wrestling him, and like, you know, I wasn't thinking about anything really. Just like I said, I've had like a lot of injuries, and at yeah, it was that time. Yeah, because I was you were there. Yeah, that was after you. So like my back and my like everything was starting to get worse at that time. So like I
Mm,
was in pain during that tournament in the beginning. So I was thinking more like about that. But when I beat him, it was like, all right, nice. Like I got this I got a good win. Like I didn't have to get crazy. Like I like one of my moves didn't work out, but at least I got like this leg days and stuff. And then you know, I heard comments like, "Oh, Punia must have had a bad day." Like, I wasn't like getting like it felt like I wasn't getting credit like where it was due. So it's kind of more like a slap in the face more than like this big victory. And it
right.
was also like overshadowed by losing to Downey next. Like, no disrespect to Downey, like, it's just like I knew that I could have and should have beat Downey that day. It was that like I wrestled like too not too timid, but too like one set minded in the beginning.
Right.
And that happens sometimes with me, like, and it works with a lot of people. With some people, like for Downey, it worked where like he got a throw where I relaxed like at like the wrong time and got the four, and then I'm in a hole, you know.
Right.
And like you know you did the critique on that, and it helped. But those kind of things that kind of show me like all right, I am like good enough to be the world champ. I just need to like not make these like stupid mistakes like with like good guys, but like the guys that aren't like at the top tier right now, you know.
Right.
And then it just feels like I've been like not having like the best um not luck, but I mean with the Olympic uh last chance Olympic qualifier, that was more like of a luck thing.
Mm,
With Miles, it was kind of just like I felt like I could definitely beat him, and then he wrestled smart in the beginning, and I made a mistake early on that again put me in a hole, and he just had like really good defense that I wasn't like able to capitalize on it, you know. So so like stuff like that that I just feel like I'm right there, but I keep on like stopping short, you know. So my confidence hasn't been like rising. It hasn't been like dropping either, but it's kind of just been like what's going on, you know, like is it like that I'm destined to keep on like having these like losses that I'm like right there, or is it something I just gotta like be smart and figure out, you know?
Yeah, that's I think it's something, you know, especially at the senior level, because you know you're not competing as often. We don't get as much feedback at this, you know, when we can go and compete, you know, every once in a while we get more feedback, and we can see what, you know, the tangible things that we can correct, you know, whether there's like technical deficiencies or just like minor mistakes, like you said, that you make. But I think sometimes it's like those long spans, it's like we got to do that in the room. And now you got more structure. You're in New Jersey, you got the Scarlet Knight Wrestling Club, and you have good people there. You have really good people there that I think you know, can keep you grounded there, and help you get to that next, make that jump, I guess, because you say you feel like you're not losing confidence, you're not gaining it. But I feel like athletes go through that though a lot. I feel like athletes have that plateau sometimes, and it takes dips. It goes up, down, and then there's that big jump that athletes can make. But sometimes it's, you know, athletes are fighters. I think all athletes are fighters. Wrestlers obviously are fighters, and that mindset, like staying in there, not you know, not letting go and being like, well, I've had enough of this and I can't take it anymore. I'm not getting where I need to go. But sometimes I feel like the best ones hang on, not hang on, but they work hard consistently, and then that's when the jump happens, like when you least expect it. You ever
Yeah.
feel like you also had those, like in your career, where you were maybe not feel like you are now, but then suddenly you have this big jump?
Yeah, no, I definitely would say, yeah, like the thing is like what's so unique about this situation um is that I never had like a back as destroyed as I have it now.
Mhm.
And it seems to like be getting worse gradually. I feel like I'm like doing better at like managing the pain throughout the days, like, and throughout most of the time, like in like December and January, it was like really, really bad where it was like hard to walk after practice. And now it's like it's manageable most of the time. I just like I feel it in my feet sometimes.
Oh wow.
Um and like before when it was really bad, I didn't feel it in my feet. And like the doctor was telling me if I do feel it in my feet, then that's more of a concern. So it's like it's kind of it's more like worrisome, you know, like is it worth continuing or is it like, you know, it's hard, but like I feel like I'm continually getting better. Like this, like the Olympic last chance Olympic qualifier, right? Like that one, I feel like I didn't make mistakes. You know, like I feel like I wrestled a very solid match that was like very well thought out. Like I was like cognizant of my back, so I wasn't like taking unnecessary risks. And I felt like I should have won like 8-1, but but then like something like that where it's just like out of my hands
Sure.
happens, and it's like but nobody like makes a big deal about it, nobody says anything. So it kind of feels like what, like, was I wrong, was I thinking about it differently, did I actually make a mistake or whatever. So like it makes you second guess a little bit, but I feel like I'm also like typically in my life where I keep on like having these like setbacks or like it feels like that, but I'm really doing okay. Um, then like when I have like this harder room or like I have a little more to think about, then like I do make that jump.
Right.
Like right now, Miles came, so now I got like a guy I can really like, work on different parts of my game that obviously were weak against them, and strengthen that. And I think that'll help because like what he exposed in my weakness, like other guys have also.
Sure.
So like he's gonna help me get a lot better if I continue there. Um, so so it's one of those things where I think like if I stay in it, like I'll get better. It's just like will my body get worse?
Right.
So it's like it's a
That's
hard
always the
thing
question.
to think about.
Yeah, you gotta get find different options because it's been a few years now, right? That you have that issue.
Yeah, I think it started like my junior year in college, but it didn't expose itself until COVID. Like it didn't seriously expose itself, like because I remember like actually being in a match with Kyle Crutchmer, and he headlocked me. It was like really nice, but I was I fought it the whole match, and I remember like the whole period. I remember like turning so hard that like I felt something in my back pop or shift, and like from then I like would get these back spasms in my lower back, like when I was weightlifting or doing stuff, and like they couldn't pinpoint why, and then eventually like my back spasms traveled up my back, and I would get them in my mid back, so I didn't think about my lower back, and then I gardened so much in COVID that like I think because I was hunched over so much, it just like it destroyed my back doing that. So so it's been like a long time. It's just been like showing itself differently, but like a lot more now.
Wow. Yeah, we got to get you healthy. The time you said you're not going to compete this summer. You're going to take it easy and get your back healthy. You'll still train, but get your back healthy. I think that's like number one priority. Because imagine you have those, you have those great results even with despite your back, which is amazing in itself. Those results are amazing in of itself, but you did it with your back, out of it's spazzing out on you, and it's imagine it once you can get healthy. I feel like but that's a lot of athletes are going through that stuff, and trying to overcome that is a challenging thing. So I'm hoping you can get that worked out and then have that clear path, moving forward.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to like learn a lot through other people. Like I've been listening to more podcasts. Like I was listening to like the one with, like I've been starting to listen to Joe Rogan one because a lot of people kept on suggesting that. So I've listened to like George St. Pierre. He was like my favorite fighter at the time when I watched it. And then Dan Gable and now Matt Frazier, the CrossFit champ.
Nice.
So I'm like trying to get these like just like see what they're like thinking, because these guys like were the champs at their stuff, and I think like I'm starting to like understand a little bit more of like how I can get better, or how I can do things smarter. So I think the more I continue doing that, like the better picture I'll get of like if I like keep going, like how to train more efficiently and like carefully, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, those stories are great when you can listen to guys like that have been through the ringer. They've had the injuries, they've had to overcome, adversity, surgeries, and setbacks. It's always good to, I guess, hear that somebody else is going through that type of stuff like you or us. I've gone through it too. It's not easy. And getting in their mind, though, I think is the one thing. We always can try and always find that person, the doctor that can help us get healthy, injury free. But sometimes it does play with your head, I think, and whether or not, well, can I go 100%, or is this gonna bother my leg. You know, I used to have calf issues. I'm like, can I actually go 100%, or am I going to be like straining my calf? It's like, but once you can like break through, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like once you can break through that mental barrier, that's when it's like sky's the limit. Sky's the limit, you know?
Yeah. You know, for me right now, what I'm thinking is um, like I haven't been injury free probably since my redshirt freshman year in college, you know? So
Crazy.
like for me, it's like I'm expecting that there's always gonna be something. And like now on my back, like I know there's always gonna be something, but like I think like one thing I was listening to with Dan Gable was like about how he recovers so quickly because of
Mhm.
like the time he takes to like warm up or like the time he takes to cool down is like to me it's a little bit extreme, but it's like if that's what you need, like I'm really bad with recovery in the sense that like I've always like kind of shrugged it off just because I don't like when I work out really hard, so and I'm tired and I don't want to like spend more time doing that, you know. But
Right.
I figure like now I gotta like think more about my body in the sense that like I should warm up longer, I should cool down adequately,
Yeah.
I should do recovery stuff like ice bath or sauna. Um, I think like if I can do that kind of stuff, then like even if I do get injured, like this back spasm, like I can just like heal a lot faster than I normally would, you know?
Yeah, that's 100%. Athletes gotta take those extra steps. I mean, if you're just a weekend warrior, it'd be different, but you're a world class athlete, and gotta be cognizant of that stuff and doing those other things that we don't really want to do. You know, it's mobility stuff. I feel like mobility is a huge game changer, you know, even for myself, because I've been training the virtual stuff, but I've been doing the mobility stuff with the athletes, and I feel like it helped me. It helped me recover, because now all of a sudden I'm going from basically just teaching to actually working out every day. You know,
Yeah.
teaching is very different, and I was teaching for basically 10 years. I wasn't really working out, but it kept me in decent shape, you know. And now suddenly I'm working out, and it was a different mindset. It was like the mindset of an athlete, and putting mobility drills in there, you know, it wasn't long. It was like 15 minutes a day. You know, I'd have like one session that might take an hour a week, but 15 minutes a day, it was like, I feel like it made a huge difference for me to be able to like jump. I guess because I'm like training myself, I felt like I was able to jump levels in the training. I was obviously not competing, but jump
Yeah.
levels in the training.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. Like mobility definitely helps. It's weird because I feel like I'm pretty flexible and mobile,
Yeah, you
but
are.
it's still like I would still get like every now and then like an MCL or LCL thing.
Mm,
But I think it's like sometimes you gotta like stick to baseline,
yeah.
and you know sometimes you get a little lazy with the sitting to the butt, you know. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I know you get healthy, and you're in a good situation at Scarlet Knight. That's at Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
Rutgers, you got Miles there. You know, Miles used to train with me when he was in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Miles went to high school in Maryland at McDonough,
Yeah.
and he was actually playing football, and his dad contacted me. He's like, "Hey, can Miles come train with you?" Because I had like Jack Clark, Toby Haig, and what's his name? He went to Duke. Zavi Ramos.
Oh, yeah.
I had they were coming over to my club, and then Miles' dad emailed me. He's like, "Hey, Miles is playing football. Can he come train?" I'm like, "Of course he can come train with us." But he's like, and I'm like, "You should get him out of football. If you want him being a wrestler, you should get him out of football like right now." Because he was still small. Like he was still like 135 pounds. I'm like, don't put him in football. Don't.
Oh wow, man.
And then he actually quit football, and then he was training with us like that fall. It was pretty cool.
Dang, that's pretty crazy.
So every preseason he was like training with us, and I go over to McDonough. He's a good kid. He's a really good kid.
Yeah, no, I like him. Yeah, I didn't know how he'd be, but I've gotten to know him a little bit. He seems like a nice guy. He's got like a good, like really good attention to detail.
Yep, exactly. Well, I appreciate your time here, Ethan. I know it's getting a little late, and I wanted to thank you again for being on here and being a resource. I think it's huge for other athletes to hear, your experiences, not only with going overseas, having a small business over there, and then bring basically a different lifestyle back with you here to the United States, and then your experiences, with the injuries, and then still having good success. I think, as athletes, I think not everybody is as resilient in their mind to overcome, those type of things that are setting them back and then still keep coming back. So I think that's can give people a lot of hope and inspire them. I think that's really important. And I know we'll be talking because we want to get a camp together here soon. I appreciate you reaching out. I mean, I wasn't really thinking about camps because of just getting back into like the live in-person training, but I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? Let's get it going. So I'm excited. Hopefully we can get that going towards the end of the month, early July, and pack the room. And camp is fun. Like I miss running camps. Was running camps pretty frequently before COVID, and then obviously, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I haven't I've like helped out with camps, and I ran one camp in college, but I just completely forgot like we could do camps. I didn't even think about like the whole COVID thing, and then my brother brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, we should try to do some camps throughout the summer.
Yeah, why not?
So yeah, I figured it'd be like really cool to do that with you.
Yep, exactly. Anything you want to share before we call it the night? Any final thoughts, wisdom?
Huh. I would say, I mean, I think just like with right now, like when I like dealing with everything, like I said, with my back and how things went. It was like really hard. It's like it's funny because you're telling me like my like successes. It's been really hard to like look at like my past couple years as successes, because I feel like I've been like on the longest losing streak I've been on in a while. Um, and it's been a little hard, like I've been dealing with it better than I ever have in my life because before I was like it was kind of like lose and die, like it's like a life and death kind of thing.
Sure.
That was my mindset about it, but like now it's like I'm just trying to wrestle to like bring glory to God and have fun through it. And I feel like I've been able to do that more, but with this last one, it was like really hard to like have that perspective on it with how everything happened. But I think now, like if I could give any wisdom, it's just like is really just try to when you're making these like big life decisions or like trying to like be guided in like your training and all these things, like really like stay focused on like if you have a relationship with God to like focus in on that first, and like bring him in on the decision making because like then he'll guide you through it. And like right now that's like what me and my wife are going through is just like trying to make big decisions in terms of all that just because I have to factor in health more so now. But we've had to make a lot of those decisions in the past couple of years due to like moving to and then moving back and accepting the jobs and everything that goes with that. But it's been cool to see like how God has led us through all that, just by like sticking close to him and like seeking his guidance and all that. So, you know, for me, that'd be like my wisdom on that is just like to involve God in the decision making, involve him in on the training. Like when you're thinking about training for the day or for the week or year or whatever, is to like let him in on that and help him, allow him to guide you through it. You know, that'd be the wisdom I'd say.
Nice. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I know the viewers and the listeners will appreciate it as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll catch up. I know we'll catch up. I'll catch you offline here in a second.
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Ethan. We'll see you.
All right.